Well, we're into the final four, as in the last four races of the weekend here at Karting Genk. It's now time for DD2 and DD2 Masters action. Your grid is as follows. On pole position is going to be David Remy with Zander Schiblak, the defending BNL Karting Series DD2 champion, alongside on the front row. Madeleine Radney has a really good opportunity here to get some good points this weekend in third alongside DD2 Liveris, who won the first final earlier on. Jan Schwitter starts from fifth position alongside Sebastian de Grand, with Steve Bull, Marcel Steinert and Lasse Andresen completing the top 9. Carl Klerbort will be in prime position to continue his run in DD2 Masters on 10th on the grid in the 510, ahead of the following 17 or 16 other drivers. Jan Gussens, Jamie Billings, Michael Becker, Patrick Weinstock, Tamsin Germain, Timo Haug, Christoph Adams, who starts in 17th, ahead of William van der Kaj, one of the tallest blokes I think I know in this paddock. Fritz Vansen, Alexander Derlinger, Tanjo Yildiz in 21st, ahead of Christoph Linjen, Wout Antonissen, the steering wheel assassin, Conrad Beyer, Ronald Billings, Wood Colson, and Roland Kinch rounding out the 27 strong. This one again will be 13 minutes plus an additional lap. So, you're probably looking at close to nearly 60 minutes of racing action to take us through to the conclusion of the day. Can I just remind that all competitors that have already completed their weekends, the podium for the overall race weekend results will be held at 5:15. 5:15 on the dot, down at the podium off of the restaurant terrace steps at 5:15. If you are called, make sure you attend in your race suit overalls and also bring your race helmet with you. Thank you for your attention. So, top 10 in the last race of DD2 and DD2 Masters is as follows. David Remy and Zander Schiblak on the front row with Remy on pole. Radney, Livris, Schwitter, de Grand, Bull, Steinert, Andresen and Klerbort. Time has been reset again to 13 minutes plus an additional lap. So 27 drivers set to get into battle. They go into the tram lines, slow and steady. The revs rise on the Rotax engines, and we go green, heading into turn 1 for the first time. And Madeleine Radney gets pushed down into 4th position, maybe even make that 5th if Sebastian de Grand had his way there. But no, the Swede makes it stick and stays in 4th for the minute. Jan Schwitter, I think, is already trying to make up a position, but is now down in 6th. Behind Sebastian de Grand, who started alongside him on row number 3. And the driver leading, well, it looks to be, from my perspective, I think that's Zander Schiblak with David Remy, DD2 Liveris, Madeleine Radney, and also Sebastian de Grand rounding out the top 5 at the minute. Slow, well, it's single file at the moment. No one trying an overtaking opportunity if there was one. But there is one happening at turn number 12, and that was DD2 Liveris being repassed by David Remy, and Liveris goes into the slipstream in towards turn number 2, and finds a gap, can't make it happen. Madeleine Radney goes up the inside of Liveris at that point, but then loses out herself to Steve Bull, who's definitely got the horns out. Then she manages to push him aside, going through into turn number 6. Bull's now lost another 3 places as a result of that, maybe even 4 as they go through turn 7. No, not quite. So 12 minutes plus an additional lap to go, and the lead is being extended quite considerably now, because the leader is getting away and stretching the legs. That is Zander Schiblak, David Remy, DD2 Liveris, Sebastian de Grand, Madeleine Radney, and also behind her, as they come across the start-finish line, will be Marcel Steinert from Germany in the 413. Having gotten up the order a little bit there. So up into 6th, ahead of Jan Schwitter, Lasse Andresen, Steve Bull, and Jan Gussens round out the top 10. Carl Klerbort might have to watch his back if Patrick Weinstock from Germany has anything to say about it. The pair are 11th and 12th respectively, but will be battling for the class win in DD2 Masters. Schiblak's lead has gone over 1.5 seconds, and we are now on effectively lap number 3. And the pace that Schiblak is doing is absolutely absolutely extraordinary. 54.704. He's done a 21.8 in the first sector, 16.3 in the second. He's quicker than anyone in sector 1 at the minute. What's his time going to be this time? It's going to be more. Now, has he just set? He's just set exactly the same lap time to the decimal point. 54.704. A little bit further down the order, Remy, Liveris and de Grand are pulling away from Madeleine Radney, who's sitting in 5th position. She's ahead of Marcel Steinert. Lasse Andreasen has just got past Jan Schwitter. Yellow flags as we've got one off of the exit of turn number 4. And the driver is trying to get the cart back onto the asphalt. Unassisted, so well done to that driver now. Let's see if they get that started. Yes, the engine fires back into life and the punch of the steering wheel happens in sheer frustration. Madeleine Radney, in the meantime, has closed up the gap as Jan Schwitter goes throwing it up the inside of Marcel Steinert there. Steinert going side by side with the Swiss driver, but then pulls back in, and as Schwitter says, let's go up to the drivers in front, shall we? So, Schiblak's lead is now 2 seconds. And the gaps are closing between the 4 behind. That could be possibly 5, maybe even more. Top 10 at the moment with 8 minutes and 55 seconds to go, plus 1 additional lap. It's Zander Schiblak leading by over 2 seconds from Dionysius Liveris. David Remy in 3rd. Sebastian de Grand in 4th, closely followed by Madeleine Radney from Sweden in the 468 for 5th place. Lasse Andreasen is in 6th ahead of Jan Schwitter. Marcel Steinert has dropped to 8th ahead of Jan Ergussens, who's overtaken Steve Bull. Karl Klebert still leads DD2 Masters, currently 11th overall in the road as Schiblak leads, carries on his lead. And it's dropped slightly because Liveris has just gone quicker that time around. The lap times have dropped, but the fastest lap is no longer in the possession of Zander Schiblak because that belongs to Denmark's Lasse Andreasen in the 409, who's just put in an absolute belter, 54.326. And that is clearly that's a huge lap there. And I think at the minute, I don't know if anyone's actually gotten close to that. I'm just looking. Jan Schwitter is also close to that pace. The Swiss driver did a 54.361. As Radney's going for the move on de Grand and gets it through turn 10. Nice work by the young Swede. And at that point, Lasse Andreasen is probably going to try and fire one up the inside of turn 12. Can't do it at the moment, but could have the toe on de Grand, who looks quickly behind and goes, yep, let's go for it, shall we? Let's get up to the people in front. But then it's one thing someone saying that to another driver and then the one behind having completely a different ulterior motive. That much is true in competitive motorsport, and in karting it's no exception. Top 5 in the minute in both respective categories. Zander Schiblak leads by 1.9 seconds from Dionysius Liveris from Greece. David Remy from Sweden and Madeleine Radney, also from Sweden, are ahead in 3rd and 4th, ahead of Sebastian de Grand from Belgium. That's the top 5 in DD2. In DD2 Masters, it's Karl Klebert, 11th on the road in the 510. And it's Patrick Weinstock in the 530 and 14th, ahead of Michael Becker, Timo Haug and Tamsin Germain, who occupy up to 17th position. And that's the top 5. So we're at half-time in this last final for the DD2 and DD2 Masters category. So there's been a little bit of a change in the meantime. Jan Ergussens and Steve Bull have both got past Marcel Steinert, who drops to the latter position in the top 10 overall. And Steinert might have to watch himself because he's got the fastest baker in Flanders on his tail. That is Karl Klebert, who has been leading pretty much DD2 Masters all weekend long. So leaders coming through turn 10. Well, as Schiblak fires it through turn 11. Liveris in 2nd, ahead of David Remy. Madeleine Radney, I just want to see what time she's doing in comparison with Remy. Remy does a 54.552. Madeline Radney's just taken a 10.5 out of him. So she's on course for trying to go for third position, but she will have to watch it if Sebastian de Grand gets a bit more pace under him. So the two that I've just been talking about are firing their way down into turn 7. And they've passed 3 cars by my count that are going adjacent to the back straight there. Call Junior Max driver 224 to the stewards immediately. So if you can make your way there now, please, that would be appreciated. 4 minutes and 30 to go in this DD2 and DD2 Masters final race of the weekend. The gap between Madeline Radney and David Remy. I nearly said a completely different Swedish name there. That would have been really problematic because that woman driver is not here this weekend. So Madeline Radney still closing very fast on David Remy for third position. This could very well help her points haul this weekend. So Chevrolet comes out of the final corner, just keeping that lead quite metronomic, and it goes to 2.085 seconds ahead of Dionysus Livris. David Remy and Madeline Radney in close proximity with each other for third place, but that is ahead of Sebastian de Grand, Lasse Andreasen, and behind them at the back of that 5-car train is Jan Schwitter from Switzerland in the 427. Has the move happened? Well, yes, Radney got past Remy and has returned the favour in turn 7. So the pace is quite clearly there. Radney was not as quick on the last tour in comparison with Remy. And now Sebastian de Grand is going to be involved in the thick of this 3-car squabble as Madeline Radney is at it again. She's got past David Remy. And the pair are line astern. Bump drafting from Remy there going into turn 2. De Grand wants to get his elbows out and get involved in this. So Radney now in third. Remy and de Grand rounding out the top 5. So, Dionysus Livris, as a result of the battling behind, has managed to get away and has a clean bit of air between himself and Madeline Radney from Sweden, who is in third position. Schublak's lead last time around was 2.136 seconds. What's it going to be between him and Livris? 1.9, so 2/10 taken out by Dionysus Livris. Madeline Radney is a further 1.4 seconds behind, having to battle tooth and nail with David Remy, Sebastian de Grand, and now Lasse Andreasen. So a 4-car squabble over what is third place as we are approaching the final throws of this DD2 and DD2 Masters race here at Karting Genk. Radney still holding on defiantly there in front of David Remy for third position. 90 seconds on the clock to go, plus an additional lap. And at the moment, in terms of DD2 Masters, Carl Clermont still leads, still staying in 11th position. And is still behind, as I counted, Marcel Steinert from Germany. And is about under half a second adrift. But Madeline Radney has lost out in this particular occasion to David Remy, who's got fractionally ahead. With the two Swedes battling out over third position. Radney will get the toe going down the back straight, heading towards turn 7, and she's not pulling alongside, but Jan Schwitter in the meantime has just got back past Lasse Andreasen, I believe, and that is for 6th position. Yep, that is the case, as I've just seen it confirmed through turn 9. So Pšivlak continues to lead, just over 2 seconds ahead of Dionysis Livris. 18 seconds on the clock to go, so this will be the penultimate lap. Gap still 2 seconds between Pšivlak and Livris. Remy still ahead of Madeline Radny at the moment, who is doing an absolutely sterling job in the 468 this weekend. She's having a better day in the office than she did yesterday, as she admitted to me last night. So we'll just see how she gets on. Will she have a chance to get back past David Remy? Well, if she's about a cart length and a half behind going into turn number 7, that's not going to happen. And the driver that ended up, I found out who it was. It was Daniel Yildiz from Germany, who is still circulating, who ended up being unassisted in getting his car back on the circuit, firing it back up, and roaring away with all 125 cc's. So there probably may be a blue flag situation. Yep, that's being brandished because the leader is now coming up to make the first lap. Well, to lap the first driver this weekend. That will be Zander Pšivlak as we are on the final lap of the race. Pšivlak going through turn 5. Livris goes through turn 5 as well. Now it is a 3-way scrap between Remy, Radny and Andersson as Radny tries to force the issue going into turn 6, but nearly comes a cropper at the hands of Lasse Andreasen, and she does at turn number 7. And Jan Schwitter's getting in. Oh, and turns her 180 degrees the wrong way going through turn 8. That's disaster for both Sebastian de Grand and Madeline Radny. Jan Schwitter, I think, got his elbows out way too much there. And it was a punt off for Madeline Radny, who up until that point was doing absolutely brilliant. So a 4th place finish stolen from the Swede at the last gasp. Checkered flag waves and Zander Pšivlak wins the race by 2 seconds from Dionysis Livris. David Remy and Lasse Andreasen round out the top 4. I'm wondering if that incident between Jan Schwitter and Madeline Radny, it was no fault of Madeline's. Jan went for a gap. It clearly might not have been there, and he's punted her off. That's how I see it, but whether race control sees it any differently is towards their interpretation. Provisional results are as follows. Zander Pšivlak wins the final race of the weekend here at Karting Genk for DD2. Ahead of Dionysis Livris, David Remy, Lasse Andreasen, Jan Schwitter in 5th, Jan Nigusens in 6th place, ahead of Sebastian de Grand, with Steve Bull, Marcel Steinert and Jamie Billings rounding out the top 10. Carl Klerbot finished in 11th, with Madeline Radny finishing across the line in 12th, ahead of Michael Becker, William van der Kaj, Tamsin Germain, Patrick Weinstock, Timo Haug, Christoph Adams, Fritz Wernsen, Wout Colson, Alexander Derlinger, Walt Antonissen, Christoph Leinen, Roland Kinch, Ronald Billings, Konrad Bayer, and last but by no means least, Germany's Daniel Yildiz.